Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Godsky podcast. My name is Alex. Year 2021, end of the month as recording, and the year started really interesting. I want to update you as soon as possible. I was missing out to have a podcast. A lot of scramble, a lot of stuff I was putting behind and putting on a hold just to improve it. But I gotta keep going. Gotta keep the thought process, and the logistic will come back. So stay tuned, and let's have this journey together. So as right now, there's interesting story happening. If you ever heard, never heard, probably not, probably yes, Stonks. That's a subreddit on a number one visited, and I'm not gonna say number one visited website, but Reddit is basically, as they call themselves, the internet's front page. It's divided by subreddits, so basically like sub forums. And that Stonks forum, it's about investing in basically in buying options, buying stock. But they started this crazy chain of events. They've been talking about basically Wall Street making, dirty moves and shortening the GameStop. GameStop, it's a video game, gaming, let's say gaming store. It's basically have a retail stores in America and US. And they start to shorten them, basically to reduce their stock and make a company bankrupt. There's a lot of manipulation by Wall Street. They were talking about it, and they say, hey, let's save that company by buying their stocks. Let's turn our, a hive mind to against those players in the Wall Street. And what do you know? It's actually happening. They basically start to raise, like buy stock. Everyone was buying how much they can do. Basically not, they're not manipulating a lot of stock, but little by little they created that movement that make a crazy like race of the stock at the Wall Street market. Basically, it was like about 1,000% or something like that high. Well, people at Wall Street, as all the world was talking about how dirty they played, this is the market, like you can't play. If you want to play, it's like a casino. They basically, you play in a casino. You lose, you win, you lose, you win, but in the end, you lose. So, suddenly they realized people are making that move, and company like the hedge funds. I'm so bad at talking about the economy, but the hedge funds is basically like big fish, the like sharks of the market, sharks of the stocks, lost about like couple billions in one day just by not like from the game of the internet. Small players, just regular guys who sit in a home and try to make a living because of the situation outside. So they tried their luck there, and many of them got lucky. What comes next? Well, they start talking about closing the free market for the people. They basically said, it's like unacceptable. You can't play dirty like that. You can't manipulate market. What? Basically, Wall Street sharks say you can't manipulate market. Even more, they asking for regulations for from people who's like against any regulations, because it shortens their potential of the game and their you know play. Well, what do you know? They actually closed. Then they start to play dirty. They closed the app on a it's like app that you can buy stocks. They closed the option to buy those stocks. They even sold on like without users' permissions. They sold their shares in a GameStop stock. They try to make basically damage control to push back the just like regular people. And of course there's making a lot of outrage, and people accepting the government step in and put their their leg over them. But we know government work for them. So there's like a really interesting situation where it's not really no, there's a hope for government to regulate that, but to be honest, it's not gonna happen. Government play the hand of the Wall Street sharks. They're gonna, there was a lot of situation when government was doing basically illegal stuff, like something like 2008, buy out the Wall Street, buy out their debt or something like that. Anyway, you probably sleep right now because I started with the economics, and I started with something I'm not really passionate and hold, but I'm passionate about the outrage itself. That's what I'm about the drama. And I do understand, those people who felt, robbed and lost money or lost their hope to make more money. But I want to tell you something. How much is frustrating to be just imagine you realize the reality where just a small fry, and you allowed to do only what you allowed to do. If you play against the rules, if you go against big players of this world, you'll be erased. You will be put in your place. And those people who's been against people like controversial people like Alex Jones, they're been talking about delete him from the internet, and they did that. Alex Jones been banned from everywhere, and they've been so glad. Oh God, I'm glad government doing that stuff. I'm glad they're controlling people like Alex Jones. But when they control me, unacceptable. I want a law case. I want to be compensated. Well, this is not how world works. You're not gonna get your money back, and you're not gonna get your, share of the sun and the boat you've been dreaming for, yacht. This is the reality where we're living. We're not really free. Are we slaves? Sort of. At some point we're slaves to our weaknesses, and we're slaves to their power. It's a both sides of slaves. That means, well, where comes the control? Where are we as a free human, as a free will people? And slavery is bad, right? Well, that's interesting way of thought too. Let me give you just example that happened a couple thousands years ago, and I'm really hooked on history podcasts now, because I see how big picture of our mind can become just by understanding that things that move in us way before, way ahead that we even been born, the things are being started, and we're just continuing that way of the continuing that idea, and gives the hopes that idea that you start today, it may be in your eyes is dead. Maybe your podcast as mine gonna be 10 listeners at max, but who knows? Who knows what is gonna be? Who knows what process, what storm you starting by the little wave, by little drop in the sea, what wave you basically building up. So maybe some things are instant, but maybe our ideas and our effort is just ripples through the time, and gives that effect that we can't comprehend it. But this is just like this is the hope. This is the hope to create. This is the hope that we are putting in our dreams, in our ideas, in our kids. Aren't you expect them to live better life than you are? Aren't you expect them to achieve everything that you wished and hoped to achieve even further, to be that person of that makes you inspired yourself? Of course we're trying to. So basically it's a build up, right? Like how long it's going to take? 25, 30 years to see the result? Maybe longer. But that's a short term. Excuse me. Still practicing my English with you. But it's a short term ideas. But what if our actions and our things are creating process that generations after generations, I hope that we will still be on this planet, but it goes. So I really want to continue on this thought. Recently I watched a very great movie. It's silly, it's funny movie, but it's really, really gives me that, that tickle in the head. The movie called Idiocracy. And the idea that the smart people are not, not multiplying fast enough as the dumb people. And the dumb people just gonna populate the world. And at some point in time, that world will gonna be dumb. And of course, there's a lot of silly examples, and like a lot of worth references to our modern day stuff. But the one of the great things in the end, he said, I remember back in the day there was cool, not that cool, but that was good to read the books. That was good to think. He was started appreciate of thinking itself, and that was great. And he's been hoping that world will come back to this. And this is the message to us, of our as a viewers just watching this movie, like that's hilarious and that's great, but you gotta balance. Sometimes it's funny to be in a dumb and silly stuff, but you gotta educate yourself. You gotta use your brain in the end, because If today you decided to binge watch another Netflix, it's funny. Netflix is my nemesis now, but uh, it's like my nemesis for life is gonna be watching Netflix is like the worst enemy for the mankind now, or Facebook, or it's like a trio of Facebook, Netflix, and let's say there's a another website, my nemesis of mine, but I don't wanna talk about this website. So yeah, talking about that, let's go back in time where people been fighting for territory. People been fighting for survival, for economy. And there was a time where wars always been ending in one way, which is genocide. Of course it is. You're not really interested to, taking care of your enemy. You just want to destroy it. You want his profit. And here comes the surprise. And one day they realized, we don't have to kill our enemy. We can take him as a hostage or a slave, basically. We can take him. At first, they started to take a woman because they're being weaker than men, right? So let's kill all the men, leave the woman and children, and take them as our slaves. What a horrible act! But here's the spin. That was the end of the genocide. That was the end of the genocide, basically. People being taken to slavery, but they were still alive. And of course, come on, let's talk about I'd rather die than be a slave. But wait. This is the chain of the events that slaves survived. And your kids gonna be slaves. Kids of your kids is gonna be slaves. In generations more. But there is always a potential of your sibling at some point to become a free man, a part of this tribe. And there's a point of time where it started that slavery was one of the greatest humanitarians moves. What? What do you mean humanitarian? That's controversial. No. Absolutely not. You let the people live and work, and you give them, the potential to come back at you at some point of time, or maybe stay and accept. That's how the genes are. Sometimes, not the smart people. Sometimes, not even sometimes, a lot of smart people are not very physically capable, and they've been losing those battles time after time. But then comes slavery, and it saves them. It saves that gene to pass on and on. So, of course, we can look at things, and of course, today modern day slavery, it's unacceptable. Of course, we are much better now. We're at the next humanitarian as I say, humanitarian steps, right? At this ladder, we much higher. But back then, that was an action that created the next evolution of humanity. And right now we can see, as we are recognized, we are slaves. They don't want to, like, this is one of the things that people talk about. Oh, they tried, they poison our waters. They create all this disturb just to destroy us. There's no need of so many people in the world. I call it bullshit. I call it a weak argument. I see it as much better to. We're not going back. We're not going back. Genocide are so local, so small at the scales today, but at the big scale, it's much better have more slaves than ever. At some point, yeah, maybe we will need to be worried, but right now, chill. They don't want us dead. They want us to serve. And of course, we realize that. And of course, we are frustrated. But hey, what are you gonna be, like a kid? I want this money. I want to win a big guy. I want to show the world that we can make it. We can. Stop. Seriously. Just stop. Make a change for the future. Don't make change for yourself now. It's too late. It's too late. It's been, you're right now on a timeline of the, the process that been started thousands years before you even came here. So this is the doom. And we can face against that. And that's a brave move. Absolutely stupid, but brave move. And it's possible to do something about it. But whining like a kid and, asking at the big, even like bigger brother, a government, it's like not big brother, it's a step brother. Please punish the big guy. Please punish the rich people in the world, the hedge fund movers. There's no point of that. You tried your luck, and maybe you had luck. There's a lot of there's a student that wrote a Reddit post that because of all this market manipulation, he was able to pay his like student, his like a university loan, scholarship loan. He, good for him. But he was small at the scale. He said to himself, I want to make change in the next steps. I want to put that to as a seed. I don't want to have this all here and now. Maybe I'm not gonna get that crazy rich, but at least I'm gonna close my the scholarship loan. And the world is completely but still the same thing. Let me give you another interesting retrospective to this history. Back then, right, farming became a main source, not the main source, but really important part of lives of people. And farmers are people who are working all day in a field, and thinking. They have ideas. They're asking themselves questions. Why am I doing this? What's the meaning of life? What's the meaning of God? Maybe God is the farmer like I am. Maybe he created me from this soil, and he's basically put the seed as I am, little human here, but he wanna see me grow and flourish like a flower or crops. And this is the idea that farmers and the people of back then could create. And there's a lot of ancient texts that gives those example. I think I'm sorry if I'm mistaken, but I think in a Bible, in Old Testament, even Old Testament, talking about the crops. My bad, not the crops itself, but talking about the flourishing of the flowers or garden, and they talk about the Garden of Eden. Isn't like the same that people have been seeing the world? They live in a forest. They live in in nature. So the heaven for them it's something that connects to the nature. And that was completely reasonable way of thinking, because all you see it's the crops, all you see it's this is your survival, and you put in your effort day after day. You taking care of that. You waking up, you're checking your farm, you're checking there's no parasites and there's no mice and there's no snakes in there, and snakes is bad. So basically maybe the snake, a snake will ruin your life. So of course the snake is the villain in the garden. And this is the idea of the world was created. But what's next? We took further, and today we talk about this world is simulation. Why we have this idea of simulation of the world? Isn't it because we are working all day around virtual stuff, creating worlds? You can go into the video game and see that the world can be made. The world can be something that you create. So of course today's technological minds are having this interesting idea that world is a simulation. The God is the great programmer that created that code, and we are living in it, and we're thinking this is real, and we're thinking this is like, oh, that's the world that we are experience. So you see how world is in our view is made by ideas, that by seeds that we're just coming back to the same ideas. Back then we've been looking at farm and thinking this is the best. The Eden is the garden where you don't need to work hard. And today we have everything virtual. So we say, basically everything virtual, and the God is the somebody who controls behind the wheels. So what's next? What's next in our point of view? Maybe, I don't know. We can come up with the crazy ideas every time, but just be aware how much is more of the same. how much our ideas are not really that original, how history is have so much mysteries that we unfold, and very fascinating to see our modern time and view on the things that sort of came back to itself, sort of recreation of the back then. Sometimes it just destroys the illusions, and there's a positive destruction of illusions. Just for example, I really like that recent find, and that's really interesting, right? The pirates on the boat roaming looking for the treasure, and they have a wooden leg, they have a hook instead of hand, they have a, come on, of course they have a peacock on their peacock, is it? No. Oh my god, I forgot the name. That bird on your shoulder, it's not peacock. What am I talking about? It's I actually forgot the word, but you know what I mean. The bird on the shoulder, and what's the most recognizable thing? Of course, it's an eye patch. If you want to draw a pirate, you can remove everything. As soon as you put the eye patch and maybe skull on that eye patch, you know this is the pirate. Without ship, without the bird on the shoulder. But if you see, that's the pirate. That's what the kid will draw. Why? Why we have that image of the pirate? And of course, we can read in the books about the pirates, and there is I don't know. The scholars wrote about the pirates in this image, but they're not really give us too much idea why they have this eye patch. But listen, that's fascinating. What the pirates usually do? They rob the other ships. Okay. Where's the ship's goods? Not on the top of the ship, right? It's inside the ship in the dark corners. Ooh, the dark corners. So how can you find the goodies in the body of the ship where there's nothing lit? Well, you gotta adapt yourself. So how can you do it? Well, this is a simple trick. One of your eyes are gonna be in the darkness. So basically, eye patch is to make your the second eye be, how do you say, be not prepared, basically prepared to see in the darkness. The pupil is going to be shrunk, and you will see better in the darkness. So as soon as you aboard the ship, as soon as you take care of the crew, or maybe even in the middle of fight, you're going back, you're going down to the ship's body. You go to the storage, and one of your eyes, and you can see in the darkness because one of your eyes already adapted to the darkness because it's been in the darkness. Isn't it fascinating? Just imagine how cool it is, how tool of how they became so creative on on making the robbery. And that was fascinating discovery for me, and I was like in awe. Oh my god. History are amazing and we can learn about it. But what we can take from today's podcast is a simple idea. Don't take yourself too big or too small. Make change you it's so corny, but it's actually make a change you want to see. Maybe you want to see that, but you don't know what importance of your actions give. What's important, it's gotta be creativity. Creativity creates world. So next time you want to chill, you want to watch Netflix, you just want to relax your brain, right? Oh my god, I'm talking so much about evil of Netflix, but myself, sometimes I take in that bad habit just to drift into the video game and burn hours on that great adventure. But in the end, I feel guilt and I'm waking up and I'm saying, whoa, I gotta do something creative. I gotta do something action demanding. Well, this action this procrastination is the seed for action. Just be willing to do it. Have that urge to create, to explore, to share that. Don't be shy about how it looks unimportant. Of course, right now my podcast is like in a depths of hundreds of thousands of other podcasts. No doubt about it. But is it making it valueless? I don't know. I think if I can't compete with those people with production quality and excuse me with a great skill and preparation. I feel like my daily work, I'm taking pride of my skill and taking care of computers and have solutions and some people see me like, oh my god, like how did you solve that? And for me it's just simple stuff, but in the end of the day I didn't solve my main problem. And my problem is I really want more people to hear of it, more people to give me more drive to collect more knowledge. I basically want to be recognized by bigger minds than myself to just to give me a next strive, but maybe not to give, just it's not about like be recognized like, oh, you're so cute, you're making those podcasts. I just want to have a critique on my podcast, have a critique on my ideas, and I'm not giving too much controversial stuff, but like listeners doesn't give too much feedback. It's frustrating, but it's okay. I don't ask you to analyze my ideas and my delirium. It's my space to create and my space to share with you and gift you that. Ideas are something that really fascinate me, and it's as the history, like let's for example, I listening to history podcast, and he's famous, right? He's not famous, but he have a hundred of thousands of listens, and people been so inspired by his way of thinking, way of delivering the content and talking about. But I'm and he's in he I love how like he's humble about it. He's just saying, I'm not that of educator, but if it sparks some thought inside you on like, oh, that's interesting, I've never heard of it, I have something new to think about. That is the feedback he's looking for, and he's how do you call the reaping fruit. I don't want to I don't expect the world be influenced by me, and I think it's idiot idea, because as soon as you want expect something from world, you also gotta be on par with their expectations. Don't forget about it. If you expect something from your surroundings, you gotta be aware of their expectations from you. So stay creative, take care of your mind, think, and come back to the podcast on the next episode. Bye.